About Lohicca good and bad teachers. Kin Lohicca. Digha Nikaya. The long discourses about Lohicca good and bad teachers. Lohicca Sutta. 1. Thus have I heard. Once the Lord was touring Kosala with a large company of some 500 monks, and, coming to Salavattika, he stayed there. And at that time, the Brahmin Lohicca was living at Salavattika, a populous place, full of grass, timber, water and corn, which had been given to him by King Pasenadi of Kosala, as a royal gift and with royal powers. 2. Just then this evil line of reasoning occurred to Lohicca. Suppose an ascetic or Brahmin were to discover some good doctrine. Having done so, he ought not to declare it to anyone else. For what can one man do for another? It is just as if a man, having cut through old fetter, were to make a new one. I declare that such a thing is an evil deed rooted in attachment, for what can one man do for another? 3. Then Lohicca heard it said that the ascetic Gautama had arrived at Salavattika, and that concerning the blessed Lord Gautama a good report had been spread about. As Sutta 4, verse 2. And indeed it is good to see such arahants. 4. And Lohicca said to Besika the barber, Friend Besika, go to the ascetic Gautama. Ask in my name after his health and then say, May the Reverend Gautama consent to take tomorrow's meal, with his order of monks, from the Brahmin Lohicca. 5. Very good, sir, said Besika, and carried out the errand. The Lord signified his acceptance by silence. 6. Then Besika, understanding the Lord's acceptance, rose from his seat and passed by with his right side to the Lord. He returned to Lohicca and told him of the Lord's acceptance. 7. And Lohicca, as the night was ending, had choice hard and soft foods prepared at his own home. Then he sent Besika to tell the Lord that the meal was ready. And the Lord, having risen early and taken his robe and bowl, went with his order of monks to Salavattika. 8. And Besika the barber followed the Lord close at hand. And he said, Lord, this evil thought has occurred to the Brahmin Lohicca. Truly, Lord, this is what the Brahmin Lohicca has been thinking. It may well be so, Besika, it may well be so. 9. So the Lord came to Lohicca's dwelling, and sat down on the prepared seat. Lohicca personally served the Buddha and his order of monks with choice hard and soft food till they were contented and satisfied. When the Lord had taken his hand from the bowl, Lohicca took a low stool and sat down on one side. Then the Lord said to him, Lohicca, is it true that an evil line of reasoning has occurred to you, as verse 2? Yes, Reverend Gautama. 10. What do you think, Lohicca? Don't you reside at Salavattika? Yes, Reverend Gautama. Well now, if anyone should say, the Brahmin Lohicca resides at Salavattika, and he should enjoy the entire fruits and revenues of Salavattika, not giving anything away to others. Would not anyone who spoke like that be a source of danger to your tenants? He would be a source of danger, Reverend Gautama. And as such, would he be solicitous for their welfare or not? He would not, Reverend Gautama. And, by not being solicitous for their welfare, would he have a heart full of love for them, or of hatred? Of hatred, Reverend Gautama. And in a heart full of hatred, is there wrong view or right view? Wrong view, Reverend Gautama. But Lohicca, I declare that wrong views leads to one of two destinies, hell or animal rebirth. 11. What do you think, Lohicca? Does King Pasenadi of Kosala reside at Kasi Kosala? He does, Reverend Gautama. Well, if anyone should say, King Pasenadi of Kosala resides at Kasi Kosala, and he should enjoy the entire fruits and revenues of Kosala, not giving anything away to others. Would not anyone that spoke like that be a source of danger to his tenants? Would he not have a heart full of hatred, and would that not be wrong view? It would, Reverend Gautama. 12. Then surely, if anyone were to say the same of the Brahmin Lohicca, that would be wrong view. 13. In the same way, Lohicca, if anyone should say, suppose an ascetic or Brahmin were to discover some good doctrine and thought, he ought not to declare it to anyone else, for what can one man do for another? He would be a source of danger to those good men of good family who, following the Dhamma and discipline taught by the Tathagata, attain to such excellent distinction as to realize the fruit of stream entry, of once returning, of non-returning, of arahantship, and to all who ripen the seeds of a rebirth in the Deva world. Being a source of danger to them, he is uncompassionate, and his heart is grounded in hostility, and that constitutes wrong view, which leads to hell or an animal rebirth. 14. And if anyone were to speak thus of King Pasenadi, he would be a source of danger to the king's tenants, yourself and others. 15. As verse 13, 16. Lohicca, these three kinds of teachers in the world are blameworthy, and if anyone blames such teachers, his blame is proper, true, in accordance with reality and faultless. Which three? Here, Lohicca is a teacher who has gone forth from the household life into homelessness, but who has not gained the goal of asceticism. And without having gained this goal, he teaches his disciples a doctrine, saying, this if for your good, this is for your happiness. But his pupils don't wish to hear, they don't listen, they don't arouse the thought of enlightenment, and the teacher's instructions are flouted. He should be blamed, saying, this venerable one has gone forth, his instructions are flouted. It is just as if a man were to persist in making advances to a woman who rejected him, and to embrace her though she turned away. This I declare to be an evil doctrine based on attachment, for what can one man do for another? This is the first teacher who is blameworthy. 17. Again, there is a teacher who has gone forth, but who has not gained the goal of asceticism. Without having gained this goal, he teaches his disciples a doctrine, saying, this is for your good, this is for your happiness. His pupils wish to hear. They listen, they rouse the thought of enlightenment, and the teacher's instructions are not flouted. He should be blamed, saying, this venerable one has gone forth. It is as if, leaving his own field, he should think another's field in need of weeding. I declare this to be an evil doctrine rooted in attachment. This is the second teacher who is blameworthy. 18. Again, there is a teacher who has gone forth, and who has gained the goal of asceticism. Having gone forth, he teaches. But his pupils don't wish to hear him, his instructions are flouted. He too should be blamed. Just as if, having cut through an old fetter, one were to make a new one. I declare that this is an evil doctrine rooted in attachment, for what can one man do for another? This is the third teacher who is blameworthy. And these are the three kinds of teacher that I spoke of as blamesworthy. 19. Then Lohicca said, Reverend Gautama, are there any teachers in the world that are not blamesworthy? 20-55. Here, Lohicca, a Tathagata arises in the world. An arahant, fully enlightened Buddha, endowed with wisdom and conduct, well-farer, knower of the worlds, incomparable trainer of men to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. He, having realized it by his own super-knowledge, proclaims this world with its devas, its maras and brahmas, its princes and people. He preaches the Dhamma that is lovely in the beginning, lovely in its middle, lovely in its ending, in the spirit and in the letter, and displays the fully perfected and purified holy life. A disciple goes forth and practices the moralities, guards the sense doors, attains the first jhana, Sutta 2, verses 41 to 76. And whenever the pupil of a teacher attains to such excellent distinction, that is a teacher who is not blamed in the world. And if anyone blames that teacher, his blame is improper, untrue, not in accordance with reality, and faulty. 56 to 62. He attains the other three jhanas, as Sutta 2, verses 77 to 82, and various insights, Sutta 2, verses 83 to 84. Whenever the pupil of a teacher attains such excellent distinction, that is a teacher who is not to be blamed in the world. 63 to 77. He realizes the Four Noble Truths, the path, and the cessation of the corruptions, as Sutta 2, verses 85 to 97. Whenever the pupil of a teacher attains to such excellent distinction, that is a teacher who is not to be blamed in the world. And if anyone blames that teacher, his blame is improper, untrue, not in accordance with reality, and faulty. 78. At this the Brahmin Lohicca said to the Lord, Reverend Gautama, it is as if a man was to seize someone from the hair who had stumbled and was falling into a pit, and to set him on firm ground. Just so I, who was falling into the pit, have been saved by the Reverend Gautama. Excellent. Reverend Gautama, excellent. It is as if someone were to set up what had been knocked down, or to point out the way to one who had got lost, or to bring an oil lamp into a dark place, so that those with eyes could see what was there. Just so the Reverend Gautama has expounded the Dhamma in various ways. I go for refuge to the Lord Gautama, the Dhamma and the Sangha. May the Reverend Gautama accept me as a lay follower, who has taken refuge from this day forth for as long as life shall last.